on life, function, faith, and feelings. Fred Rogers never discounted what anyone said or felt, be that person a child on the show, an adult with whom he was speaking. He never spoke to people, only with them, or a child on the subway or street that he met just as he went from place to place. Despite his sweet pastor's demeanor, Rogers was tuned into our soul's darkest feelings. He had an uncommon appreciation for anger, fear, stress, sadness, disappointment, and loneliness. He respected the range of emotions and encouraged children to accept all their feelings as natural. This conviction came early. As an only child to proper New England parents, Rogers was discouraged from acknowledging sadness. This, along with his childhood experience of getting bullied for being overweight, made Fat Freddy, as he was called, acutely aware that too often, and usually inadvertently, adults silence children instead of showing them how to deal with troubling feelings. Rogers believed that variations of the sticks and stones adages intended to get kids to shake it off and are stifling. They abandon children to their pain instead of teaching them how to process it. In contrast, Rogers encouraged children to face their dark feelings. And yet, there is a foundation for the sort of philosophy of feeling that Fred Rogers practiced that can be traced back more than 2,000 years to ancient Greece. In the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle described our souls as being made up of feelings, predispositions, and active conditions. Our predispositions name our go-to emotions, those we feel most often in response to certain stimuli. Some people are prone to sadness, others to anger, and the occasional few to genuine cheerfulness. Our feelings, like twigs, catch a spark every time we brush past life's embers, but ignite only when they get stoked by our predispositions. Two individuals responding differently to the same event, getting fired, for example, Aristotle would attribute to their differing predispositions. Feelings and predispositions matter for Aristotle, but more for the sake of self-knowledge than self-improvement. It's helpful to know which feelings I am predisposed to, as well as what I am feeling at any given moment. But these two categories are much harder to budge than the third. Aristotle described active conditions as how we bear ourselves in the face of our feelings. Aristotle would discourage us from shaming ourselves over feeling sad when we should feel happy. Aristotle rejected shoulds altogether when it came to feeling, since he believed them to be natural and, without accompanying wrong action, harmless. All feeling, for Aristotle, are potentially useful in that they provide an opportunity to practice behaving well, what be is. Feelings alone can't jeopardize virtue, Aristotle believed, but actions can, and often do. Mr. Rogers agreed. Everyone has lots of ways of feeling, and all of those feelings are fine. It's what we do with our feelings that matter in this life. Fred Rogers believed that all children, and adults too, for we all start out as children, get sad, mad, lonely, anxious, and frustrated. And Fred Rogers used his television show to model what to do with these difficult and often strong emotions. He wanted to counter the harmful messages kids typically receive, some version of the very unhelpful "you shouldn't feel that way" commentary. In real life, it would be the case of a functional behavior or a functional emotional response to a situation or thing that then alters to dysfunctional, causing the response to stop working entirely. By continuing to do the same response despite its failure, despite its dysfunction, it shows the inability of failure of learning by the individual, both from the signals of the dysfunction and, or, more commonly, from a total lack of tools in the emotional toolbox. In other words, the individual lacks the skill of responding in any other fashion. There is no other more functional behavior or emotional response for them to insert there. Every behavioral or emotional response is functional until such time as it no longer fulfills the requirements of the need, no longer answers the question. Only then is it considered or labeled as dysfunctional. In one episode, when he couldn't get a flashlight to work, Mr. Rogers expressed frustration in front of the camera. He admitted feeling disappointed at the fact that the trick that he had wanted to show his viewers didn't work. He didn't slam the flashlight down, curse, cry, or hit little Daniel. Rather, he talked about it. One of Rogers' core beliefs was, what's mentionable is manageable, and he considered it an urgent lesson for kids to learn to name their pain. Rogers believed that if children were encouraged to talk about feelings, instead of being shamed for them, they could get to work finding appropriate outlets. One of Rogers' recurrent lessons was on anger. Inspired by a child who asked him a question about anger, he wrote a song about it. What do you do with the mad that you feel? When you feel so mad you could bite? When the whole wide world seems oh so wrong, and nothing you do seems very right? What do you do? Do you punch a bag? Do you pound some clay or some dough? Do you round up friends for a game of tag, or see how fast you can go? Playing the piano as a child, Rogers taught him to express the whole range of his feelings. He recounts banging on the low keys when he got mad, and I can certainly imagine him exploring the minor keys when he felt sad. In multiple episodes, Fred Rogers wrote viewers how to tell their feelings through the piano. When he had famous musicians like Yo-Yo Ma or Wynton Marsalis on the program, Mr. Rogers would ask whether they played differently when they were sad or angry. And these musicians always reported that yes, they did, and that playing their darker emotions helped. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was purportedly a show for children, but I think Mr. Rogers also meant it for adults. We'd be better off if we'd stop negating everyone's dark emotions with stifling commands like, boys, don't cry, and calm down, don't punch the couch in anger. Like, what, is it going to hurt the couch? And most damaging, shut up, instead of a simple quiet. Be quiet, please. If we are convinced by Fred Rogers and Aristotle's claims that feelings are not wrong and that what's mentionable is manageable, we should begin mentioning our own sad, lonely, and disappointed feelings. In doing so, we would show children and our grown-up selves how to appropriately manage them. And in doing so, we would renew our awareness of the world as a safe, beautiful place in which to be, and reopen our childlike eyes, view the world with amazement and faith again, seeing God's hand in everything, every smile, every person, every raindrop, snowflake, and beam of sunshine, as He truly wishes for us to do each and every day. Please, please reread this lesson, or if you have the ability, print it out and reflect upon it. This is very important, especially if you are working in addiction, or if you have an addiction which you struggle with. Addictions are related greatly to emotion. You don't know what to do with that feeling, and so you go drink, you go get high, whatever. Start talking about your feelings. I am a registered and certified mental health counselor and addiction specialist. I can speak to you if you need it, but only as a last resort. Please, my friends, please read this again or listen to it again. There's a reason the Lord had me read it today. Peace of the Lord be with you always. And remember, love starts here.